So my question is, why is it that you need to create an entirely new subcommittee when you literally could go through and do whatever work it is that you're talking about handing over to the gentle lady? Y'all had a chance. You chose not to use it. So why should the American people be convinced that now all of a sudden, because you create a new committee that has been promulgated to find some people that actually care about their constituents? And honestly, whenever y'all are ready to work, we on this side of the aisle have always been ready to do what is right by the American people.
Trump lost the 2020 election harder than a toddler playing chess against Magnus Carlsen. That's not my line. That's Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett's burn that sent Trump into a social media meltdown last week. And it was just one of many. In just 3 minutes of airtime, Crockett managed to dismantle Trump's victim narrative, mock his legal troubles, and question his wealth with more precision than most politicians manage in an entire career. Today we're counting down her top 5 most devastating one-liners and analyzing why Trump simply couldn't handle them. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Ever wonder why some politicians can get under Trump's skin while others just become another target for his nicknames? Representative Jasmine Crockett just gave us a masterclass in how to make the former president absolutely lose his mind. And it wasn't by attacking his policies. It was by hitting him where it hurts most, his ego. Crockett didn't just criticize Trump, she turned him into the punchline. In one of her most devastating takedowns, she compared him to a broken record at a conspiracy theorist's yard sale that's scratched up, out of tune, and only good for background noise.
Here's the reality for me. I don't think that really anyone should have decided that they should supplant their own judgment on an 80-year-old black man. And, this is someone who lived through the civil rights era and saw the dogs and saw the hoses and saw the police bludgeon and bloody people. As the president decided to get up there and lie, as we know he always does, and say that he had a mandate. We know that he did not run on this idea of cutting out Medicaid.
Ouch. That's the kind of burn that requires medical attention. While most Democrats stick to boring policy critiques about taxes or healthcare, Crockett went straight for Trump's biggest weakness, his desperate need to be taken seriously. She mocked his constant victim mentality and the way he describes everything about himself as perfect. His calls, his health, his memory. Well, when it's convenient. Trump's collection of indictments became the target of perhaps her most brutal one-liner when she joked that he collects them like Pokemon cards. Gotta catch 'em all. This hit extra hard because it used pop culture to make his serious legal troubles seem silly rather than the political persecution he's always claiming. Nothing hurts Trump more than making his very serious problems sound ridiculous. The thing about humor that makes it so effective against guys like Trump is pretty simple. It pops that tough guy balloon they try so hard to inflate. Political humor researchers have found that authoritarian personalities particularly struggle with being laughed at because it undermines the strongman image they work so hard to project.
This is very simple. We right now have a white supremacist that is sitting in the White House. He is backed up by other white supremacists. And if you really want to know who the criminals are in this country, you can Google it. You don't have to trust me. Tearing our democracy down physically. And now we have them tearing us down right here from within. But the people that commit 80% of the most violent crimes in this country are white supremacists. Yet for whatever reason, they sit and they serve at the pleasure of the president. They are the ones that were there on January 6th.
Crockett seems to have understood this instinctively. And boy did it work! Trump's immediate response was exactly what you'd expect. An all-caps social media rant that seemed written by someone smashing their keyboard with their fists. The grumpy Trumpy can handle being called corrupt or dangerous all day long, but suggest he's a joke? That's when the tiny fingers start rage tweeting. What made Crockett's roast so effective wasn't just random insults. She targeted specific sore spots in Trump's carefully constructed image. Her comments about his finances were particularly surgical. One minute he's rich enough to buy the moon, and the next he's acting like a broke college student avoiding a landlord. This perfectly captured his bizarre financial flex then victim routine, where he's simultaneously the richest man alive and also too broke to pay legal fees. The Congresswoman's technique was especially clever because she wrapped serious criticisms inside jokes. When criticism comes packaged in humor, it sticks in people's minds better and becomes much harder to dismiss as fake news or Trump derangement syndrome.
That's what's happening right now. I am tired of the white tears. Listen, if you are competent, you are not concerned. When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel a way and why you can't make me doubt who I am?
Really is not partisan. I know that it looks very partisan, but at the end of the day, we know that the cuts that the Republicans are proposing, that these cuts are not only going to impact Democrats and independents, but Republicans as well.
There is no comparison, and that is the life that we have always lived. So the only people that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so much harder.
You might forget a policy argument, but you'll remember the punchline about Pokemon cards. Part of Trump's whole shtick has always been positioning himself as both all-powerful and endlessly victimized, sometimes in the same sentence. He's supposedly a brilliant businessman who was also somehow cheated in every deal. He's the strongest leader ever, who's also constantly being treated so unfairly that nobody in history has been treated worse. Crockett's genius was exposing this contradiction through humor rather than just pointing it out directly. What makes Trump particularly vulnerable to this approach is his complete inability to laugh at himself. Think about it. Have you ever seen Trump genuinely laugh at a joke at his own expense? While other politicians from both parties can usually manage a self-deprecating chuckle at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Trump famously avoided the event during his presidency. He simply cannot stand being the butt of the joke.
The American people, and to make sure that we keep the American people safe. And if we don't get something done, as they talk about the border, I do want to be clear, the only reason we haven't gotten funding for the border is because they killed the bill that they actually sent us from the Senate side. If they want to do some work, let me tell you something, the Democrats are ready, and it seems like the Senate Republicans are ready too. They just need to get to it and stop peddling Putin's lies. You know, what is wild to me is that this word patriot seems to be getting co-opted for propagandists, because that's what they do.
This fundamental weakness is what Crockett exploited so perfectly. By using humor instead of outrage, she found the exact formula for getting under his very thin skin. Most critics just make Trump stronger by feeding his persecution narrative. But mockery, that's kryptonite to his Superman complex. What we're seeing here, folks, is a masterclass in political combat. Jasmine Crockett hasn't just thrown some insults at the former president. She's written the playbook on how to dismantle his whole poor me routine. Political analysts have long known that humor is kryptonite to authoritarians who desperately need to be taken seriously. It's like trying to look tough while someone's drawing a mustache on your portrait. The beauty of Crockett's approach is that laughter works where angry speeches fail. When you're laughing at someone who thinks they're God's gift to America, you're not just disagreeing, you're puncturing their whole self-image. Trump can handle being called corrupt all day long, but he melts down completely when the joke's on him. As we watch this blueprint in action, remember that sometimes the most serious political tool is a well-timed joke. The orange man can't stand being the punchline.